The Eagles dominate the Buckaroos to start 2024. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here on the Holliday Eagle Football Show, right here on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media. As Holliday puts up 44 points in the first half as they coast to a 64-0 win over Breckenridge to start the season off. Man, you want to talk about being diverse on offense. Over 300 yards through the air, over 230 yards on the ground. You pitch the shutout. You get out of the game pretty relatively health or injury free. I mean, that's a great way to start the season for the Eagles. Now, it'll get a little tougher this week. Go on the road to take on Munster. They're a 2A Division II team that is pretty loaded this year. In fact, we also have a Munster football show here on the network, so you can check that out. I'm recording this one on Tuesday. We record the Munster one on Wednesday, so it's usually up by Wednesday at noon at the latest. A lot of that just depends on the schedule that day because Wednesday is the day of the most coaches shows I have. I only have a few on Tuesday. Of course, we also have Sideline to Sideline that we'll be recording tonight. You'll be able to see that on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company or audio only at S2SGrantandTerry.com. But anyway, back to the Holliday Eagles. It's going to be a good one this week. I think this is a really good test for both of these teams in week 2 of the season. So what we do here on the show, if this is the first time you've ever been a part of it, is we will be talking to the head coach of the Holliday Eagles, Coach Kyle Atwood. We'll talk about that win against Breckenridge. We'll talk about the matchup against Munster. And we'll talk about kids and knowing their coverages because they play Madden. And we'll do all that when we come back right here on the Holliday Eagle Football Show on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media. Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. Terry Bennett back here on the Holliday Football Show. Now joined by the head coach of the Eagles, Coach Kyle Atwood, right here on S2S Sports. And, Coach, congratulations. You start 2024 with a big win over Breckenridge, 64-0. What were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, we were pretty proud of the kids. We talked to them about starting the thing off on, with a lot of energy and a lot of effort. And, we came out of the gate pretty hot. And then we stayed on it. We executed really well offensively and defensively. Special teams looked pretty good as well. And so, that first half of football we played pretty solid, and we were very proud of the kids.
Well, and, we had talked a little bit about last week. You had started installing the new offense last year, but this year it's kind of fully being implemented. And, boy, that offense started out great.
It did. We'd like to be a balanced attack offensively, as far as run pass and then also balanced in regards to touches. And we were able to do that. We had 6 different receivers that caught the ball. We had 2 running backs with catches, with multiple catches. And so we ended up a little over 300 yards in the air and then about 250 plus on the ground. And we were able to be very balanced. And I think that's what, helped us to really attack Breckenridge was, just keep them off schedule.
And, for all the talk offensively, defensively, y'all go out and y'all shut down. I think he's really young, but I think a really good running back for Breckenridge and a young offense that I think will be better as the season goes along, and y'all shut them out to start the season.
Yeah, I think you look at that score and you think, well, I don't know about Breckenridge, but they are a solid football team. We watched their 2 scrimmages on film. They do a lot of good things. They had some success against us offensively as well. We bent, but we didn't break. There was 2 or 3 fourth and short stops, and then a couple of red zone stops that we were able to keep them from continuing drives or getting the thing in the end zone. And so we were proud of our defense for stepping up in those situations, but. We tackled pretty well in space. There's still some things up front that we've got to get fixed in regards to just reading our keys and being gap sound. But overall, our kids played really well. We played pretty physical, and we played really fast.
In a game like this, what do you take away from that y'all need to work on? I know you just said something about some things up front, but overall, what are some things you need to work on going into this next week?
Yeah, we told the kids Friday night after the game that we've got to get into the film room on Saturday and take the coaching and take it personally and And there were a lot of things that was pretty glaring that we needed to get fixed. Really up front defensively, it was just executing with technique. It was never an effort issue. It was just technique issue. And so yesterday at practice, we spent a lot of time with technique and reads. And offensively, we had some bad steps at the front. A couple of miscommunications up front. Routes were decent, but not as effective as we'd like to be. And then the quarterback made a couple of wrong reads. But it's just those things are stuff that you want to continue to improve as the year goes on. And so, there's a lot of things that we can improve on. And the main thing is don't be content and just continue to get better each and every week.
You talk about film study, and I have to ask you, as a coach, are y'all a staff that lets your kids fully get into the film studying, or do y'all just show them certain things? How do you do that when it goes to scouting for looking at what you did last week and for your opponent the next week?
In the past, we've really worked more like just cut-ups and sent them cut-ups, things that we want to see. But our kids here in Holliday are pretty invested into the game and very football savvy. So the last year and a half, 2 years, we've actually shared the full games with them, and so we will do that on Saturday and the full games, and then we'll share cut-ups after our scouting report on Monday morning, and then we spend time 30 minutes a day watching film on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and so as a whole, as a group, 30 to 45 minutes. So we spend a lot of time in that film room, and then the kids also take it upon themselves to spend time outside of there and outside of the school day, just preparing for the week to come.
Well, it's funny you bring that up about like kids being savvy, and Holliday is a special group, but talking to coaches across the state, one of the things that I've gleaned over the last 10 to 15 years is how much these kids know more about coverages and stuff because of things like playing Madden, the video game, that they know what a cover 2 is before you even try to really explain it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a 10-year-old son who is pretty savvy in the game of football in regards to that, just simply because of NCAA and Madden. And so I think there's some good things with the video games. There's obviously some things that I think are probably not beneficial to a kid's growth. But there's a lot of learning that's taking place in that as well. And so our kids spend time watching college football, watching NFL, and I've been in other places where the weekend the kids aren't spending the time watching the game. They don't necessarily love the game as much as our kids do here, and so it's been very positive in that aspect.
All right, this week you're taking on a 2A team in Munster, the Hornets. They're a 2A power in that region. When you look at the film, what do you see in the Hornets?
Yeah, they're just a really athletic football team. They're pretty physical. Overall team speed is really good. And then they're effective and efficient in everything that they do. Whether it's offensively or defensively, you can tell that they're well coached. You can tell that the kids play sound. And they just play fast and play physical. And it's going to be a great test for us. So, we're excited to face a team like Munster. Our junior class, I think that was one of their only losses in 8th grade. They got beat by Munster, and so there's a little chip on their shoulder with that hanging over them from a few years back. So I think it's going to be a great matchup. Coach Carney does a phenomenal job, and I think that's a Munster team that's going to have a chance to make a run for it all this year. So I think there's some things that they'll benefit and get better from playing us, and then there's dang sure some things that we're going to get better and benefit from playing them, and so we're excited about the matchup.
Now, you bring up a good point, because whenever whenever two divisions are playing each other, two classes, a 2A and a 3A, some people assume that only the smaller school will learn or get anything from the game. But I mean, you're playing a Munster team that you're going to be able to learn some about your team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys are extremely efficient offensively. We're going to have to play really good technique-wise, or we're going to be out of position, and they're going to make plays. And so I think it's going to really, I think that you look across the state of Texas, and obviously whenever you go up classification, you've got more numbers. That gives you more depth, and that gives you a little bit better opportunity to be successful. But there's really good football teams in lower levels, and there's really bad football teams in bigger levels. And so I think, we're going to get everything that we want out of a 2A Munster team, and have an opportunity to get better as a football team as a whole, rather than playing a 4A that maybe not as sound and not as good offensively and defensively.
Do you have a kid that plays sports? Are you yourself a weekend warrior? Then I'm going to tell you something. Check out NeuroGuardPlus.com. That's NEURO GuardPlus.com. It's a mouthpiece that can not only help with concussions, but can dramatically affect the way you perform. And the mission of NeuroGuard is to, of course, reduce the risk of suffering a concussion when participating in any contact sport, military, anything that you're doing physical that you could take a blow to the head. You might want to put in a NeuroGuard mouthguard. And as I said, it not only helps eliminate concussions, it helps you perform better by simply aligning your jaw properly. And that sounds like such a simple thing, but it is so important because it allows oxygen to get to your brain. And when you get oxygen to the brain, you don't have that fog of sports or that fog of war where you get confused. And if you've ever played football, that's a sport where that can happen. Especially, man, you're in there in the trenches and you take a shot to the side and all of a sudden things are spinning. This mouth guard will help you keep focus by, again, simply keeping oxygen going to your brain 100%. Again, check them out, NeuroGuardPlus.com. And if you play sports, if you have a kid that plays sport, if you do something physical, one of the things that Dr. Hutchinson, the creator of this, was talking about was some people will use it when they're doing yard work and when they're mowing and things like that, where they're being physically active because they know it helps align their jaw and it keeps oxygen going to the brain, which also helps your lungs, by the way, when you can have full breath every time as you're performing. So again, check them out, NeuroGuardPlus.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball.
As always, we want to thank the head coach of the Holliday Eagles, Coach Kyle Atwood, for joining us here. Also, want to remind everybody, if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, you can email the show, Terry at S2SSport.com. I do apologize to the one fan that emailed. I totally forgot about reading it before I interviewed Coach. I will get you next week, though. But it's a good question. It's a holiday question, so we will we'll have him I'll read it to him next week and get his answer from him. It's a really good question. I just totally mind blanked when I was loading up to call him for the interview today. But again, email Terry at S2Ssport.com. Already week 2 of the season. This is going to be a really good matchup, I think, for Holliday. I think the Eagles can out-depth Munster, but I think 22 versus 22. It'll be a real interesting battle. First road game of the year for the Eagles here in 2024. And we've talked about it last week. It's a really solid schedule for Holliday this year. You're going to get some teams that you can beat up on, but you're also going to get some teams that are going to test you so you can kind of figure things out. And so it's going to be an interesting game, and be safe if you're going out to the game. Again, any questions, thoughts, or comments, Terry at S2Ssport.com. Week 2 in the books. Week 3, we'll talk about it next week right here on the Holliday Eagle Football Show on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media.